what is the core code and how this is important in embodying your goddess divine form, this divine form that really is the most beautiful and pure expression of who you are in physical form as well as energetic and spiritual. So the core code, the way I like to describe this term in Elevated Woman, is this almost mathematical equation that runs down your entire spine. And it's what makes you unique in this world. It's what separates you from all of the other human beings, plants, animals, species out there, and makes you this one-of-a-kind, never again to be repeated, divine being. And if you think about it, we all, in every single moment, have access, no matter what race, no matter what gender, no matter what species, we all have access to the same amount of air. And we all have access to breath. We are breathing in and breathing out. And this breath does not, it doesn't prefer one being over another. It's completely neutral and available. This is the same thing to energy and divine energy. This prana, shakti, life force energy that comes to us in every moment, that we can always access. It does not prefer one being over another. We are always receiving this divine energy, this spiritual energy. And ultimately that spiritual energy is coming into our body and emanating through our field, through our coding. The core code is ultimately what we want to connect to. The core code is what allows this divine energy to come down into our body and into our field and project out and emanate out in its purest form. When our code has been, has received or taken on distortions or programs from the outer world, it distorts this energy as it moves out. So as the energy comes into our bodies, ideally it's emanating out through a pure system. But most of the time we are distorted in our field, and this causes us to actually emanate and project an energy that isn't our truth. This is when we attract experiences or relationships that don't feel so good or that are out of alignment. This is also what causes disease and imbalance in the body, the physiology and the biology. It's what causes aging. It's what causes us to not really feel and look ourselves. But when we work on connecting to our core code, what that intention really is saying, I am determined and committed to clearing away anything that is not my pure truth. So I'm just going to take a moment to let that sink in. I am committed to clearing away anything that is not my pure truth. And when we take on that intention and we work on this in our lives, over time, we are provided the healing, the coaching, the mentorship, the experiences, the relationships that give us an opportunity to look at what in our field is not our truth, to look at what have we taken on, what programs have we absorbed from the outer world, social media, Disney princess movies that we watched as little girls that have lodged themselves in our system, in our coding, and have caused that energy that comes in, you know, that pure divine light that is always coming in, to as it moves its way out, it's actually moving through the distorted field. So the core code is your divine essence, and when you connect to it in a pure way, your entire body comes into perfect alignment. I was actually leading a training the other day, and it was one of the most, I mean, I always say it's, oh my gosh, that was the most powerful training I've ever done. They just keep getting more and more and more deep in these 3-month mentorships that I do. But afterward, after this beautiful training that I led, and we were all in the group just experiencing really profound energies coming in, I went for a walk with my friend, and I remember seeing my shadow and looking at how my body had actually changed form, that the effect of connecting to these high feminine frequencies and ultimately engaging with and being willing to look at even my own distortions, these parts of my own system and body in an energetic field that were contracted and tight, and blasting those spaces open with this divine energy ultimately changed my physical form. And that's what we ultimately can do in this work and on the spiritual path, is change our physical form to be a perfect representation of our core code. And so I'm just gonna let that land for a moment. And one of my mentors, Shannon Port, who I talk about all the time, talks about this as, you know, that really even aging, we don't have to age. And I was thinking about that, you know, when we're connected to the spiritual energy and we really truly merge with it on a daily basis or even weekly, and we let the pure spiritual energy come into our body, fill every single one of our cells, spill through all of our energy channels, and ultimately fill us. We're consuming that and ingesting it, and that means our body is assimilating that information, and we become that energy, we become that light.